Hello, Matt. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for accepting this interview because you have quite an interesting background. Apparently, I've heard that you're one of the last in the last lineage of the Huna.
Well, yes, my father studied with one of the last practicing kahunas, the son of one of the last practicing kahunas here in the island of Hawaii. Now, the good news is I have a son, and he's 11, and he's begun to pick up interest in this. So I wouldn't say I'm the last. It's definitely been in my family now for a couple of generations and moving down into my children.
Well, what's great about all this is that you're bringing ancient wisdom in our modern and in our society, and it's really needed right now, isn't it? What are you actually bringing from the
Well, see,
ancient in our current culture?
oh, absolutely. Huna is a modern label for an ancient system of empowerment and flexibility of the mind, body, spirit. So it was a holistic study of psychology, of energy, of higher consciousness. And so it really took a holistic, integrative approach to health and healing. And my view is that we live in this beautiful modern society. We have technology that allows you and I to see each other in an interview all the way across the ocean.
Pretty
And yet
cool.
there were these ancient teachings that we need to bring forward and incorporate into our lives.
Yeah, it's needed, isn't it? Because it's a bit
Absolutely.
chaotic right now. We need to go back to our roots, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, one of the basic concepts in Huna is that you need to be pono. You need to be, the word pono is a Hawaiian word that means, it means right, but not as in I'm right, you're wrong. It means as in being unwavering congruency in yourself. And we take a lot of action in our life right now from negative emotions, from limiting decisions. And in ancient times here in Hawaii, you would only take action if you were pono, if you were right with yourself, because you didn't want the energy of the negativity to be put into the path.
Makes perfect sense. And most of the time, we actually do a lot of stuff from fear, don't we?
Exactly. And we tend to carry our baggage forward with us. And so, you know, this idea of from Huna is that we have these black bags, these small little trapped emotions like fear. And fear is a huge one. I used to be 70 pounds heavier than I am right now. And one of the things I always pride myself on is practicing what I teach and applying Huna to my health and fitness. I had a lot of fear. And every time I would start a new health plan,
Yeah.
that fear would come up. And you got
Yeah.
to let go of that fear before you move forward.
So, but the accent is on the forgiveness. You had to forgive yourself
Yes.
for what then to get to this point of losing the weight, for example?
I had to forgive myself for hanging on to the weight for too long, for not taking action earlier. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
people, they beat themselves up. You know, I learned things about how to be healthy. I learned how to eat right. And then rather than eating right and being healthy, I would look in the past and say, I should have done this a year ago. I should have done this 5 years ago. And that's not, in ancient times here in Hawaii, if you got a piece of knowledge, a seed, you would plant that for now and in the future. You wouldn't beat yourself up for not having had it in the past. And a lot of people run that pattern of beating themselves up rather than forgiving themselves and just moving forward.
Yeah, because you had your own set of failures, I guess. A lot of us tried a lot of diets
Yes.
and then it didn't work out. So then we have all those luggages and luggages. So where do we start from? I can see. So basically, you're saying don't take any actions before you're in the space of, I guess, open heart and total. You have forgiven and you're coming from this pure space, and then you take the action needed.
Absolutely. And that's called being ponno.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in their lives, what they really want to do is they want to have happiness. And they attempt to have happiness through buying things or through accumulating wealth. And that's it. I mean, listen, I'm all for accumulating wealth. I mean, people need to be prosperous in their lives. But yet, I think a lot of people have found that to be unfulfilling. I have one student that she came to me and she said, I keep trying to have all these different items. And I said, the first thing you need to do before you can have what you're meant to have is you have to be doing what you're meant to be doing. I said, but there's a problem. A lot of people are out there trying to figure out what to do with their lives and no clue. Huna says that actually the first place you start is with who are you meant to be? What is your life's purpose? How do you connect with that deep purpose inside? She did that. She found her purpose. She began working with people one on one, doing what she was meant to do. And now she has a fulfilled, happy life. And it was a simple process of figuring out what she's meant to be.
So this applies for any area of our life. Weight loss, relationship, everything. Tell us where we start.
Well, I think the first place to start is with yourself. I think the first place to start is with a honest look inside yourself and ask yourself, what is it that I need to let go of? In relationships, for example, we tend to carry the baggage from the past relationship right into the current relationship. Rather than letting it go, what we do is we just keep creating the same pattern over and over and over again. So the place to start is with yourself, and to truly be open and honest with yourself about what is it that you need to let go of from a fear perspective. Forgive yourself, and when you take that action, you need to really take it from a place of being from your heart.
But how does it look like? Because it constantly pops. It's like we're really invaded by all those negative memories and this past
Of course.
so how do we, I mean, where do we really start? I mean, how do we deal with this ongoing noise? Do you start with meditation, or because I know you recommend a lot meditation, or is it just ongoingly in life as we walk towards people or as we're in situation we just forgive ourselves and there's a little ritual to do?
Well, I think the answer is yes to both of your questions. Of course,
Okay.
I love meditation. You asked about the meditation. I love meditation. It's a great way to really get centered, to release. You also brought up a really good point, and that is that life is a path. I think a lot of people are attempting to set some sort of end goal. If I get into a relationship, then that will be the end and I will have achieved something. If I just make a certain amount of money, then that will be an end and I will have achieved something. Or health and fitness. And truly, life is this journey. It's a path that once you get into a relationship, the word relationship in your mind, if you think about it, is this frozen picture. So what I teach people is rather than thinking about a relationship, how are you relating to your partner? Because it is the next day you wake up, things are going to be different. My wife and I have been together for 10 years, and our relationship was much different 10 years ago. Now we have 2 children. We've gotten 10 years older. Our business has changed. And so you don't stay with this fixed idea that once you're done with something, you're done. New things are going to come up all the time. And that's truly a part of life, that you get to continue to learn and explore what that path is like.
So as we progress in life and as those changes keep on happening, we have to keep on forgiving ourselves for and new stuff are going to come up so that we forgive that and within others too.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the process that I teach called Hooponopono, and it's
Yeah.
written up in my, I know that's a Hawaiian tongue twister.
We hear a lot of it. I mean, the
Oh
past
yeah.
years, Joe Vitale and many others has brought it big time to this area.
Oh, it's a very important process. And in fact, for my Ph.D., for my dissertation research, I researched Ho'oponopono and validated that the process works. It literally helps people let go of their grudges. There was one lady in my study that she said for almost 20 years she had been holding on to this grudge against one person, and doing the process once, forgiving the individual, that was gone. And she finally felt free of that baggage she had been carrying. And my response to her by email was, thank you so much. And remember, it's like health and fitness. You don't eat a salad one day and you're done. You're constantly practicing this. You're forgiving yourself every day. You're forgiving others every day. It's something that you continuously do. There's no magic pill that just fixes everything. If anything, you are your magic pill that you need to do every single day in order to create that magic in your life.
So where is that coming from? What kind of understanding of the world does it rely on, or what?
I think what it does is it really helps people to realize that 2 important things. One, you only hurt yourself by holding on to that grudge. You only hurt yourself. There's clear evidence in psychology that if you hold the grudge, you actually increase your stress, you decrease your health, your overall ability to heal your body. And the second thing is that in actuality, many people thrive off of, how would you say this? irritating or poking at another person. And by holding on to that grudge, you may be giving that person exactly what they want. And so by letting go of that grudge, what you're doing is you're freeing yourself. Now, one of the biggest blocks to forgiveness is people think, I have to become friends with that person again. The Hawaiians here, they were very intelligent people. If you wrong someone, that would mean you still forgive the person, but yet at the same time, you know that once you've forgiven them, if you're not meant to be with them anymore, you cut off that relationship. So forgiveness is about becoming right with yourself and what you need to do in your path. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but there's this also, I guess, this understanding that we are all one and what we're seeing in another person. Like, we could forgive them for doing something that might be irritating to us, but at the same time, we're forgiving ourselves, like part of ourselves. Or how does this work?
Well, the process works, it's inside your mind. You do the entire process in your mind because you're exactly right. We are all one. And really, your experience of another person is in your mind. In fact, Morna Simeona, the person who taught my father, that then taught me, she's the same person that taught Dr. Hugh Len, that has written the book with Joe Vitale. So I share a similar lineage there with Hooponopono. And she practiced it all in her mind because she said, not only does it increase forgiveness, but it truly does allow the person to forgive themselves, because really they're working internally with who and what they are.
And it has this notion of the 0.02, no, doesn't it? Like, it brings everything back in balance. So by forgiving ourselves, then we're back into, we're not in this up or down, but we're like at this 0 point where everything is. Or can you explain to us that as an expert? Because I'm not explaining it. I have a notion of it, but I
know what you're saying, but I'm a student just like you. I mean, as many workshops, I think we've taught 40 workshops here now in Kona. For 20 years we've been doing Huna. And people ask me, are you a teacher yet? And I say, I always pride myself. I'm a student just like all of you, and I'm constantly learning too. And so, no, I get what you're saying. You're talking about balance. And you're talking about achieving a harmony in your life and getting back to that centeredness. The Hawaiians had a concept of foundation, that every day in life you get a pohaku. A pohaku is a stone. And that stone is meant to be put on your foundation. And you build that foundation in your life so that you have balance, so that you have stability. And so every day when you get that learning, the goal is to then put it down and make it a part of your foundation. And so if you forgive someone that wronged you, then you learn from that. In the future, how are you going to create your world the way you want it so that you don't keep repeating the cycle? That makes your foundation stronger, and that helps to bring that balance that you're talking about.
And it's so much more based on love, instead of making ourselves wrong all the time and beating ourselves up so that we understand and we get that lesson. This is a practice coming from love, and that we truly need to incorporate now.
It has to come from the heart. It absolutely has to come from the heart. You know, in modern times, we think that the person who can think things through is the most intelligent. In ancient times here in Hawaii, the person who could trust their gut was considered to be the most intelligent. And so I read these books now that say, trust your gut. And then I read these other books that say, trust your mind, think things through. And I really think that bringing these ancient teachings into modern times, we're meant to trust our gut, be able to think things through. And the mediator between the two is your heart. So the way that you send that information from your gut and your mind is through your heart. And that's what the word aloha means. Aloha means to operate from a place of your heart, of love, of true respect for everyone around you.
And that's where the true wisdom lies, isn't it?
Yes. One of my teachers, the late Uncle George Naope, who founder of the Merry Monarch Hula Festival, a living golden treasure here in the islands. Yeah. And he would say that you need to come from your heart, that we spend so much time in our world talking bad about other people. And truly what you're meant to do is love one another, realize that everyone has a different path. It's not your job to make their path your path. And that in life, all you can do is really operate from your heart and really then be fulfilled in your path.
So tell us again, on a practical level, day to day, what do we say to ourselves to forgive ourselves?
Well, I think first, and this is a really simple one, the Hooponopono process takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. And so
Oh
here's a
wow.
really, yeah, and that's fast. That's actually pretty fast. I've seen it take longer. So you can do it pretty quickly. However, here's a really easy place to start. There was no word for I'm sorry in the Hawaiian language. You couldn't say I'm sorry because I'm sorry, if you think about it, when you say I'm sorry, it ends right about here. It doesn't go any farther than your breath.
Yeah, I can
I
see
for
that.
Yeah, I forgive you. Please forgive me. That the Hawaiian phrase "e kalamai iau" meant please forgive me. And so one of the things that I tell people, an easy place to start is get rid of the word sorry. I'm sorry has no reply. It has no energy movement to it. It's a statement of being. Instead of that, let that go and begin to say, please forgive me. I forgive you too. That creates a movement of energy. That creates action, and that begins to get the ball rolling to forgiveness.
So you say that to yourself, I mean, in your head, to somebody, or to yourself, you say the same thing, whether it's an individual or you just find yourself in a situation where you have to forgive yourself?
I would do both. I
Both.
would absolutely do both. I would, in my mind, think of the person, send them a lot of love from my heart, and then say to them, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Face to face, my wife and I, my two children, we got rid of the word sorry. And so even our 3-year-old this morning, she was getting ready and she dropped something and she said, I'm sorry, Daddy, please forgive me. And I went, of course, Pumpkin. I said, that's okay. I said, really, here's what here's how you need to do this in the future so that you don't drop that on the floor. And she was like, okay. And we move forward. I'm sorry doesn't get any action going. And so even with people one-on-one, practicing this really does help to get that movement of energy going.
So do you also have a ritual when you wake up in the morning to kind of clear your
Oh,
energy,
yes.
or?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Two important things. And I love this. I get asked this question a lot. Having practiced Huna now since I was, about 12 or 13, and it's part of my family. What are the things that I do on a daily basis? One is forgiveness. So I practice the Ho'oponopono process. Number two is every morning when I wake up, I spend a moment to just clear my mind. I do what's called a ha breath. And in Hawaii, before you would do something, you build up your energy. And so you breathe in through your nose and you exhale and you just make a gentle sound with your breath. That gets your energy and focus. And then in the morning, I ask myself, what is my intention for today? What do I want to learn today? What is it that I want to create today? And then at the end of the day, I review, have I achieved that? And it really sets the intention. This is instead of turning the TV on or running out and popping the coffee in the microwave oven. And I know we need to do those things. I got 2 kids. I run a business. I spend just 5 minutes in the morning focusing my energy and my attention. And when I do that, that goes right into the day. It becomes a part of the path.
Because you have been meditating since you're 5, so you must have perfected all that pretty well.
I don't know about perfected. I've gotten pretty good at meditating. Yeah, I had a deep desire to learn how to meditate, and my mom, I double checked the story because I talk about that in my book, and I called my mom up and I said, Mom, was it 5? And she said, yeah. She actually thinks it was 4, but I remember it being 5. And I've been meditating for a long time now, and it's like working out. It's like eating healthy. It really helps to reset and focus your attention and really bring that energy in that people so desire.
How long do you meditate every day?
I meditate for about 10 or 15 minutes a day. I do a short meditation, and then there are days where I have a lot of interviews or a lot of work to do or a lot of meetings, and I might then go outside. And here's another really fun thing that anyone can do. Smokers tend to go outside and take a smoke break. Well, I'm not for smoking. So one of the things that I tell people to do is to go outside and take an air break. Go outside, kind of stare off at a spot, let your awareness go out into the peripheral, and take a nice deep breath in. and it literally resets your mind. It really helps to kind of give you some downtime and avoid that afternoon energy crash that I think a lot of people encounter because they just keep pushing, pushing, pushing. And so a quick ha breath, the Hawaiian word hakalau, is to go into that peripheral vision and allow yourself a moment to kind of just relax is very helpful. And I do that regularly.
I love all those practices and all those things that you teach us, which brings back to this constant, like, keep the flow of energy going. That's what you're about, aren't you? Like, just keep it coming in and receiving, giving, and it has to roll.
It does. And, we live in amazing times. Energy has been proven. I mean, I get people that come into my workshops now that 10 years ago, people would come in and they would say, I don't think energy is real. Now people are coming in going, okay, energy is real. Quantum physics has proven it. Physics says everything is energy. Dr. Bruce Lipton in The Biology of the Belief says energy affects our body even before the chemicals that we take. Now people are coming into the workshop saying, how do I tap into this energy and really work with it and utilize it? And just like you said, Lilu, it's a path. It's kind of like going into the gym. You don't just go in one day, you work out and you're done. You don't just breathe once and you have energy. What you do is you'd have a regular practice that absolutely increases your energy.
Can you tell us what is the Kona University? Because I know that you're president of the Kona University. I was wondering what this was about.
Well, one of the things that was important to me was to really bring more credibility to this field that I love so much. I grew up with this, and I remember teaching in the 90s. I was in my 20s, and I was teaching, and I would have people say to me, what you're doing isn't real. There's no proof. You're not a doctor. Your university isn't even accredited. And so I really spent the last 10 years not just focusing on increasing my own knowledge through formal study, but we got Kona University fully accredited, and we do distance learning degrees in transpersonal psychology, which really helps people to not only learn about psychology, but to help get a deeper understanding of who and what they are. And so it's very exciting that these things that we love so much, these alternative and complementary practices, are becoming more mainstream. And I'm finding that to be very exciting. And we teach that here at Kona University.
So you also teach new way of healing.
We teach a variety of different techniques, ranging from Huna to Jungian archetypes to neuro-linguistic programming, the study of language and communication. And so we have a wide range of things that we study to really help people gain a better understanding of who and what they are.
Cool. Well, when I'll be touring in Hawaii, I'll have to stop there.
Please do. It would be fabulous to have you here.
That's exciting. So tell us, do you have a last little word for everybody listening, or something, or an action that we should be taking, or something that we could keep in mind every day? Or
Absolutely. We tend to get so stuck in labels. Like I was working with a lady and she said, I'm a bad mother. And she would say it over and over again. And one of the things that I love to tell people is that, you get stuck in these labels, positive or negative. And an ancient concept here is that no matter what you think you are at any given moment, you are always more than that. And so at any time where you're stuck in those, you're feeling like you're stuck in the weeds, one of the things to remember is that you are much more than any of these things you could ever say about yourself. And that truly you are an empowered being, and that deep down inside you have the tools to create change in your life.
Beautiful. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
In our current culture.
Oh, absolutely. Huna is a modern label for an ancient system of empowerment and flexibility of the mind, body, spirit. So it was a holistic study of psychology, of energy, of higher consciousness. And so it really took a holistic, integrative approach to health and healing. And my view is that we live in this beautiful modern society. We have technology that allows you and I to see each other in an interview all the way across the ocean. And yet there were these ancient teachings that we need to bring forward and incorporate into our lives.
Yeah, it's needed, isn't it? Because it's
Absolutely.
a bit chaotic right now. We need to go back to our roots, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the basic concepts in Huna is that you need to be, and that's not, in ancient times here in Hawaii, if you got a piece of knowledge, a seed, you would plant that for now and in the future. You wouldn't beat yourself up for not having had it in the past. And a lot of people run that pattern of beating themselves up rather than forgiving themselves and just moving forward.
Yeah, because you had your own set of failures, I guess. A lot of us tried a lot of diets and
Yes.
then it didn't work out. So then we have all those luggages and luggages. So where do we start from? I can see. So basically, you're saying don't take any actions before you're in the space of, I guess, open heart and total. You have forgiven and you're coming from this pure space, and then you take the action needed.
Absolutely. And that's called being. I used to be 70 pounds heavier than I am right now. And one of the things I always pride myself on is practicing what I teach and applying Huna to my health and fitness. I had a lot of fear. And every time I would start a new health plan,
Yeah,
that fear would come up. And you got
yeah.
to let go of that fear before you move forward.
So but the accent is on the forgiveness. You had to forgive yourself
Yes.
for what then to get to this point of losing the weight, for example.
I had to forgive myself for hanging on to the weight for too long, for not taking action earlier. A lot of
Yeah.
people, they beat themselves up. I learned things about how to be healthy. I learned how to eat right. And then rather than eating right and being healthy, I would look in the past and say, I should have done this a year ago. I should have done this 5 years ago. Pono. You need to be, the word pono is a Hawaiian word that means it means right, but not as in I'm right, you're wrong. It means as in being unwavering congruency in yourself. And we take a lot of action in our life right now from negative emotions, from limiting decisions. And in ancient times here in Hawaii, you would only take action if you were pono, if you were right with yourself, because you didn't want the energy of the negativity to be put into the path.
Makes perfect sense. And most of the time, we actually do a lot of stuff from fear, don't we?
Exactly. And we tend to carry our baggage forward with us. And so, this idea of from Huna is that we have these black bags, these small little trapped emotions like fear. And fear is a huge one.
Hello, Matt. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for accepting this interview because you have quite an interesting background. Apparently, I've heard that you're one of the last in the last lineage of the Huna.
Well, yes, my father studied with one of the last practicing kahunas, the son of one of the last practicing kahunas here in the island of Hawaii. Now, the good news is I have a son, and he's 11, and he's begun to pick up interest in this. So I wouldn't say I'm the last. It's definitely been in my family now for a couple of generations and moving down into my children.
Well, what's great about all this is that you're bringing ancient wisdom in our modern and in our society, and it's really needed right now, isn't it? What are you actually bringing from the
Well, see,
ancient